some of the different companies like that are interested in buying them. Even Mr. Beast is interested in buying them. I know. Yes, Mr. Beast.
Really? He has the money.
Not surprised though.
Yeah, no.
I think out of everybody that is like slated to like buy it, I would like Mr. Beast.
It makes sense.
It's on brand.
It's on brand, exactly. Hey everyone, welcome to B3 Byte Universe, where we dive into the data-driven world of media, technology, and culture. I'm Barika Phillips-Bell, one of the three co-founders of B3 Media Solutions.
And I'm Sarah Boos, Senior Social Analyst and Marketing Strategist here at B3 Media Solutions.
And I'm Taylor Smith. I am the Social Media Manager at B3 and a Social Catalyst.
And together we represent three generations, Gen X, Gen Y, and Gen Z, bringing you diverse perspectives of analysis with digital trends and insights.
And in each episode, we'll break down the latest in data, culture, tech, media, and sound bites that are shaping our digital landscape today.
Once a month, we'll bring you all the bites. So let's dive into our second episode of Bite Sized.
All right. So what are we talking about?
All right. So there's a lot to talk about with TikTok. It seems like every other day we're talking about TikTok. Will they, won't they?
Should they, shouldn't they?
Should they, shouldn't they? Are we saying goodbye today, tomorrow, or in 30 years? Who knows? And so we know that the TikTok ban had another extension. I believe it was 75 days.
75 days.
TikTok for another 75 days. And so what are the thoughts? What are the thoughts around this other extension? Do we think it's going to go away? Do we think consumers are happy? Do you think they care?
I mean, I think that the fact that there is another deal in place, that they, another 75 days, they're going to figure it out within this time. They have been so close to figuring out who could potentially buy them. And because of that, you can definitely tell that, people are motivated. Some of the different companies like that are interested in buying them. Even Mr. Beast is interested in buying them. I know. Yes, Mr. Beast.
Really? He has the money.
Not surprised though.
Yeah, no.
I think out of everybody that is like slated to like buy it, I would like Mr. Beast.
It makes sense.
It's on brand.
It's on brand, exactly. But for the most part, I definitely feel like, they're going to come to a conclusion because this has gone on long enough. And I don't know how y'all feel, but I was just like, again.
Yeah, I think we all feel that way right now.
It was interesting because I was seeing the TikToks come up because in the original, when they thought TikTok was going to be banned, there were tons of videos, obviously, trolling it, saying like, since TikTok's going to go away this time, I'm going to tell you guys this. Like, it was an entire thing. And I was seeing those videos again. I didn't even remember. Because once they brought it back, I was like, all right.
Right, because it was so short-lived.
Right, it was so short-lived, exactly.
Yeah, and so I didn't even remember that we had this date coming back up. So when those videos started resurging, I was like, oh, that's funny, old videos. And it was like, oh, no, like they're just posting them again because this is about to happen again, in which it could potentially go away. And I was like, okay, we'll see. I don't know.
Like you could never tell. So some of the other companies that are behind buying TikTok include Amazon, which, okay. The guy from OnlyFans, Zoop. Yeah, Tim Stokely. He's actually, the OnlyFans. Yeah. He's another one. Also, App11, the marketing platform, App11 is looking to potentially buy TikTok. Perplexity, which, if I could get Mr. B's Perplexity as a little like option, that would be cool. And of course, the private equity firm Blackstone, which is behind millions of things. I'm less enthused about their ownership, but it definitely is a lot of players out there. And my front runner still Mr. Beast. Now, if Mr. Beast and Amazon team up and get it, that might be good.
That could work.
I could see that.
that's interesting for Amazon, because I wonder, with TikTok Shop kind of being a competitor potentially of theirs,
That's
and
a good point.
like if they want in on people being able to buy quickly the shipping and like things from them instead of, or if they could tie that together, right? Like
Right. How would they?
TikTok Shop or Amazon, pick your poison type of thing. So that's interesting.
That is a really, like, I hadn't even thought about that aspect of it. But that's a smart move on Amazon's behalf.
Yeah, I could see that happening for sure.
But like when you think about, like, even though the businesses are caring about it, do you think consumers are caring about it? Like, have you seen it like trending like this time where people were like literally downloading all of their content so that they would have it, and brands were downloading all of their metrics because it was going to be wiped out and they wouldn't have that information anymore?
Well, Taylor made a good point. Taylor, I kind of forgot that the day was here, honestly. Like, whereas, going back to January, whatever time period that was, I literally was just like, okay, it's happening any day now. Like, I gotta get all my TikTok uses out of the way. This time around, I could care less, actually.
Exactly.
And that says a lot about where we're at.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, you were actually not alone. So Taylor, if you pull up this chart, because I definitely think there's a lot more people that are not concerned about it as well. About 2/3 of the general public aren't concerned that the app would be shutting down. And they even asked this question to about 1,000 different adults early April, what they thought or how concerned or not were they about TikTok shutting down. And you can see most part, general public is not. But what happens to the actual platform for TikTok users, that was kind of split. Like if they were a user, 51% were concerned, 49 weren't. So you see this like interesting split of like people who are and who aren't. I find that, the fact that even the American public aren't even talking about it this time, we'll still have to see who ends up owning it. But, it doesn't create a scare because I feel like we know where we're going to go. Like if TikTok shuts down, I know what the social platform is that I'm going to flock to next. So we're much more prepared.
Yeah. And it's interesting that split between the actual TikTok users, right? Because people are really carrying on. I think originally, like we've all been saying, people were scrambling to find new platforms. They were, especially the creators specifically, where we saw that half split. Like a lot of them were very concerned about how they were going to continue their businesses and things like that. And we really see people, creators specifically, carrying on as normal. Continuing to take the chance on TikTok, hence the not concerned, I feel, or more so just like, I'm going to keep pushing content the way I am and whatever happens type of thing. And we definitely have seen that with Sydney Joe.
Yes. Come through group chat.
Come on, group chat. So for those who don't know, Sydney Joe, she is on the rise. She made a series called The Group Chat. And so essentially she's taking us through the lens of a 10-person girl group having boyfriend drama, but drama in general, through her group chat, and like what the text messages and stuff relay versus like the personal relationships between the people, right? Which is something I know the girls can relate to. I was watching it and I was like, this is so funny because it is so relatable.
I think that it's even like when I look at some of even my parenting group chats and my with WhatsApp, like I'm like, you know what, this is a show. Because like if I were to like, the different parents that are like chiming in, please be nice to my son because like he doesn't mean to be as rough as he is. And then the mom will, your son actually took my child's playthings in class. Like it is definitely drama. So kudos to her for even showing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's so, and to your point, like it is so funny about almost the passive aggressiveness that comes through in a group chat versus like what you're saying to your friend to their face and like all of those things. And she's capturing it perfectly. And so she has gained what are the numbers? She has gained 25 million views over the course of a couple weeks, and therefore a lot of brands are jumping in.
Of course.
Of course. That's what community managers do, is they jump in on the things that are trending. And so kudos to them for finding this piece of content and trying to, promote their brand accordingly. What's interesting, what I saw was that a lot of brands were not tailoring their comments to their brands, which made the comments that were tailored to their brands that much more special or like super on brand for them. So one of the favorites, and of course it having to deal with a dinner reservation. So Open Table chimed in with their 2 cents.
Oh, great.
So
Is this play about us? I love it.
They say this play about us, which is so funny because for anyone else who doesn't know, that's a nod to Euphoria, where one of the girls makes a play about everybody's lives and they're unsure. And so they're all very surprised. And Maddie says, "Is this play about us?" So great comment. What was even more interesting was
39 replies.
So many replies.
Like
so many replies.
39 replies. That's really good.
It is really good. And let's see their likes. Yeah, 130,000 likes.
Yeah.
So they did well. They took this opportunity, and of course, Open Table being mentioned, they had an easier route to take the opportunity, but they took it nonetheless, and it worked. And so what's really interesting is the conversation happening under here, because we see this person here says, girl, don't waste your time replying to mega corporations pretending they're relatable. They are just trying to benefit from free interactions off your content. And so this creates a conversation about brands and community managers, and whether consumers appreciate or don't appreciate them chiming in to conversations that have to do with them in order to essentially get not free marketing, but a little bit cheap marketing. Yeah. And so we have this comment here that kind of combats that, decides to challenge that and say it's still a person behind the account trying to do their best at their job to advertise. They did a good job here. I think people should be allowed to laugh. And then, of course, many people saying,
I think that's the key point, is that you're allowed to be in the comments as a brand if you're relevant. Yeah. And if you get it, like, like other brands might have just said, "Hey, thanks. Glad to be here." But coming through with a relevant comment and actually it being culturally relevant also, that's a great way to showcase your brand and be a part of the comment. They're all TikTok citizens. So why can't brand be a part of the conversation and be here for it as well?
Yeah,
that is a great point.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And then, of course, we have this one that says, "I thought it was funny. Let's appreciate marketing people who are on the ball." And I think that
that summarizes it.
I mean, the quick notes, if I've ever seen them.
Exactly.
And so that was definitely interesting. And then we also had another brand chime in, Mean Girls. And of course, it was completely on par for their brand. So they said, "Imagine if Jess joined the call, 3-way calling attack style." And then they had another comment that said, "Haley, you can't sit with us." So obviously these are nods to movie scenes, the 3-way call, the phone tree, scene in Mean Girls, where they're all talking to each other and they're all essentially talking mess about each other, to each other, and then through the phone. And then, "Haley, you can't sit with us." Haley's trying to bring her boyfriend to the Open Table. And Haley, they also know their brand. We're talking about, a group of girls who are having drama within their friend group, which is actually the entire premise of Mean Girls. So I thought that was also a really good standout. And so those were my 2 favorites. that I feel like they did a really good job of chiming in on the conversation. People were really happy to see them in the comments. So I thought those were good.
Yeah, those were definitely good. If you really want to get into it, let's play our signature game. And I called this one Campaign Clash, Nostalgia or Disruption. And the goal of this is for you guys to see who had the most mentions based on these two campaigns. Okay.
Okay.
We're going to look at it. I'm going to look at it with you in 3 categories: creative strategy, audience targeting, and the impact. And audience, you definitely tell us who won in the comments. Like, let us know who you thought might win and whose campaign will be more effective. So the first one that I wanted to share is Ugly Estates. Ugly Estates is a wine brand. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of them, but Ryan Reynolds' company, Maximum Effort, actually came out with this. And it's a humorous disruption of wine with Peggy the Pug as the unconventional mascot. Now, if you don't know Peggy the Pug was dog pool. And she's really unattractive, which is why it was a perfect way. This was a perfect way to kind of showcase their brand. They even have a 60-second ad, and I will show you that now. So, are y'all ready for this?
Okay.
All right.
Why do they doubt me, kid? I'm about to prove them all wrong again. Because they don't even know what the problem is. It's me. You waiting on the boy to fail, now hold your breath and face your death. Because you play a roulette with each step up. Don't let's go ahead and place your bet. Because we know who we are, we know we top tier.
Okay. So that was
the
So that was the one from Ugly Wine Estates. And you know, I love my wine. I'm not too keen on box wine, but millennials and Gen Zers and Gen Yers are drinking boxed. They have an actual increase in the number of people that are purchasing like canned and boxed wines, which is why Ugly Estates is kind of targeting that demographic with that particular one. So now I'm gonna go to this one, and Taylor, you might not even remember this, but you might not even remember this. But I'm gonna show it, and it's gonna be a blast for the past. So, well, it was for me because I was just like, oh, I remember that dude. Okay, so
a garage is more than just a mere receptacle for your tools. It's a sanctuary of skill, a cathedral of craft, a sawdust-scented shrine, far from your incompetent coworkers' annoying remarks. Most importantly, it's a place to enjoy a nice cold beer after a job well done. Follow along for a few DIY tips from myself and Natural Light that will help you conquer any project with ease. You might even win some cash for a major garage upgrade while you're at it. Imagine sipping on a cold natty, working on a couple of projects in a new garage. Feel a tingle in my tool belt just thinking about it.
yes, that's what he said. A tingle in his tool bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't know
Yes.
that. No.
So I don't know if you guys remember him, but Al Borland from Home Improvement. So Natural Light Beer, I don't like beer, but Natural Light actually partnered with him to basically target those DIY enthusiasts. And it's a nostalgia-driven campaign. So those from the 90s and the 80s will remember him and remember that character and kind of like the association with that, because it's definitely targeted to people that want to drink a beer, unwinding, and things like that. And so for Ugly Estates, they position themselves as a disruptor with the growing boxed wine category, and then tapped into those sustainable trends by showcasing that it was recycled. It's made out of recycled materials. Whereas Natural Light was more so focusing on how brands can leverage like nostalgia to disrupt industry norms. So of the two, which one do you think had the most mentions? Was it Natural Light or was it Ugly Estates wine?
This is a tough one.
It is.
This is a really tough one. Because I feel like those are the two things, nostalgia and disruption are literally the two things that get people talking. So like, I can imagine that like with Deadpool, the Deadpool dog, right?
Yeah.
That hits a whole entire audience. Also, just the quirkiness that hits Gen Z, but like everybody loves Deadpool. Wine hits like tons of generations. So it's like that could be a lot of people talking, but then like people love nostalgia and people love to be like, oh, I remember him as a mention in itself. So, you know, that's a tough one. I don't know.
I'm
Please
gonna
let us know in the comments like what you guys think would have the most mentions over the last 7 days. Now, this is from we pulled our data from Meltwater, and we just looked at the last 7 days to see which one of the two campaigns had the most mentions. So, Sarah, what do you think?
I'm going to go with the wine one.
Okay, Sarah,
That's just a
choose
wild
wine.
guess because they're both, up there. So
Okay, and Taylor.
Why am I scared? Okay, I was gonna also go with the wine one. So I actually do now I think it's the other one, but I'm gonna stick to my guns and go with the wine, the box wine.
Dun, dun, dun! You're both right. That's
Oh.
right. Actually, so the campaign with the dog, because everyone loves a dog, even the ugly dog.
Right.
So the campaign Ugly Estates in the last 7 days had over 750 mentions of people just talking about the campaign, talking about the dog and dog pool, versus Natural Light. It was merely 60 mentions for the Natural Light one with Al Borland, but it is attached to a contest. So over the next month, we'll see how that campaign kind of performs to see if like more people are talking about it, especially with the DIY effort.
Right.
So we'll see.
Now we will dive into a topic that is making waves across industries, and that is around the tariffs. A subject we all want to talk about.
Yes.
So really, we wanted to talk about this mainly because our clients here at B3 Media Solutions have requested a number of reports around the consumer sentiment in relation to tariffs, as well as their industry and brand, as well as predictive analytics reports, thanks to new policies shaking up the supply chains, pricing strategies, and consumer behavior. Businesses are facing some very tough decisions. So we decided to put our tools to use and our knowledge and share some of the insights around tariffs that we found specifically within the automotive industry. So I'm going to share with you guys some of the consumer discussions and just media publication headlines from January through April of this year using Pulsar's narrative AI tool. This is an insanely cool tool integrating AI to kind of give us a snapshot overview of whatever topics we wanted to discuss. So for this particular discussion, I focused it on tariff and the automotive industry. And it takes us through a number of different widgets, starting with the interest over time. So as we can see here, it definitely increased month over month as the tariff deadline approaches in April. So we did see a lot of interest increasing. And then this widget down here that I wanted to showcase, utilizing the AI, the distribution tool, it kind of buckets themes of conversation and then it narrows it down even into smaller themes of discussions, circling all around tariffs and automotive specifically. So you can kind of have fun with all of these different little nodes here that just kind of show you in relation to the overall theme, what percentage of the conversation it's having. To just kind of show you a little bit of an example, the theme around the tariff impact on the automotive sector amid the global volatility. We see that, for example, investors are their fears are escalating due to the trade wars and the economic uncertainty due to Trump's tariffs policies and how it's going to affect in stocks. So that's one conversation. Another one, just to show the different discussions. Let's go with this node right here. public backlash against Tesla growing amid Musk's political entanglements and vandalism incidents. And so you can really dive deep and explore each one of these nodes depending on the conversation themes that you want to highlight, for example, in your reports to your clients. And so down here where it has the narratives, we see that they break it down by topics of conversation even further, and also showing us how that particular trend grew over time and what percentage of the conversation it impacted the overall conversation in this query. And what I thought was really cool and super helpful from an analytic standpoint is you can hover over this here and why did this match my search? And it'll bring up a quick synopsis or summary of why it's relevant to what we're searching for. And so the two that I wanted to highlight really quickly were this first one. So where is it? Right here. So China's EV dominance sparks global market reshuffling and concerns. And so not only do we want to focus it, of course, in the US, but also globally, because a lot of the parts, as we know, automotive parts come from outside of the US, and that's going to heavily impact car sales and just the overall influx of material that is going to be coming in and how much that's going to cost us consumers. And so if you click over here, why did this match my search? It'll quickly analyze, the AI will analyze what that discussion is about. And so you can get a quick little snapshot here. And then if you want to dive deeper, you can, but I will be showing you the other topic that I wanted to kind of explore a little bit further. That is, let's see. Of course, now I can't find it. Let's see. Maybe I'll just go with the EV one. I wanted to do the consumer prices, but I don't see that on here. Wait, let me see. No. Here it is. So right here, I want to focus in on the consumer hold off on car purchases amid economic uncertainty and high prices. So this particular one just shows that this is going to have a direct impact on consumer behavior. This can help sale forecasts and production plans for the brands, automotive brands particularly. And it also highlights the growing sensitivity of the market to affordability and trade policy, emphasizing the need for brands to stay agile, to monitor policy changes, adjust pricing, inventory, and also demand strategies accordingly to remain competitive as this conversation continues on. And so I clicked into that particular narrative to give a little bit more of a detailed insight around it. And as you can see here, there was no conversation. And then of course it spiked mid-March through the end of March. And that's obviously because of the discussion around the tariffs being implemented. I think it was April 5th, around then. So that is definitely in line with what's happening in real time. Now, when we go to here, this is another one of my favorite widgets, the narrative evolution. So this tool basically helps show you how people are talking about the themes that are driving both the public and media conversations, and also where they came from and how it was intersected with the other narratives to also help you predict where the narrative might be going in the future. And so this is really important because we get to trace its evolution over time. Again, when it started, where it came from, and also how this can help us to foresee potential issues in the future. For example, we can spot early signals of emerging trends or risks. We can understand how public and media sentiment has changed. We can identify strategic moments for brand positioning or response. And most importantly, predict where the conversation is headed next to stay ahead of the curve. So we can click and look further into any of these nodes here to kind of just get more of what the story is around these particular topics. And then again, get an understanding of how these narratives grew over time, and how they have changed over time to kind of help really refine the story around a particular topic. And then lastly, we can take a look at the top content. Always important to understand what is driving conversation, what are driving the headlines, to just have a better understanding of what is being discussed now. And then of course, to kind of capture the best best points for this particular conversation. And that's all I have for narrative AI.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was awesome, Sarah. Like that was really awesome. Like I loved the narrative AI, the tool that you could kind of see how things started and kind of like where it went. But I also really liked the deep dive of like each individual narrative and kind of like that whole thing that you brought up with what consumers are doing, their behavior, because that is a very key area that we operate in, and trying to help brands understand like how consumers are feeling about economic times, if they're going to purchase, and if they're not, what are the things that we need to be doing as a brand to help them do that.
Yeah.
What did you think, Taylor?
I definitely agree. And I loved the nodes, like the in relation to, right? Because I think oftentimes you as a brand may not even know what is affecting you or what is in relation to you until somebody tells you, right? And so I think being able to see, okay, this is the conversation about tariffs, this is the conversation about the auto industry, but like in what context are those conversations being had, can be extremely helpful, right? So that was my personal favorite. But that was awesome. I love that.
I know that was and that's, I think, one of the things that a lot of brands don't always take a look at is just trying to understand and pinpoint that conversation and how it really does help you kind of predict where you should go and like how you can change your marketing plans, your messaging, and even your supply chains, or even the fact that you might want to look at different trade partners that might be of use to you and kind of cut those costs.
Yeah, definitely.
That was awesome. And in terms of even just conversations and in relation, a conversation I had recently was with my best friend. She texted me and she was like, girl, should I buy my Shein cart because the tariffs? And I was like,
really?
Wait, that's a great question. And so I did some research for her and I was like, yeah, girl, you should buy your Shein cart because there's a lot of people's favorite brands that are going to be very heavily affected by this. I mean, just in general. And back to the point of what I liked about the in relation conversation is that when I was doing research on what brands would be affected, a lot of these things intersect, right?
Yeah.
Each other. So that's why I think that was really cool, because you might not understand how things that seem unrelated are being held in conversation with your brand or what your industry is.
What are some of the brands that you found that are going to be affected?
All the brands. Okay. The
list is so long.
Right. The list is endless, but I'll talk about some of the ones that I found the most interesting. Again, like we said, Shein and Temu is an interesting one. And when I thought of Temu, I was thinking about the Super Bowl, because not this Super Bowl, but the last Super Bowl, Temu famously had like 6 Super Bowl commercials. So that's just like how much.
I know that.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody.
I did not know that.
Every other commercial, I was like, Temu, we're back on Temu. And I found out that today, and I was like, but that just goes to show like how much they're making their way as like a big resource to people in America, to the point where they are advertising on the Super Bowl. Right.
I mean, but it's like it was like $5 million a pop.
Right.
So like that's a lot of money for me to not remember their ads.
Right. And
that's true too.
Those conversations that we had in our last bite size, if you guys want to go ahead and check that out, because we did talk about how we don't remember any of the Super Bowl ads, but Duolingo killed it. Anyway, if you definitely want to check that out, you should. Yeah. But so yeah, Shein and Temu, essentially the tax, right? So they're saying that it can be up to a $25 tax per item. And then by June 1st, a $50 tax per item.
Item. So if I was getting those eyelashes that were like $2.99, I got to pay $50.
That sounds insane. Right. That's crazy. Exactly. So a tax per item. So that's definitely something that people are going to want to watch out for, as Shein and Temu have been huge and on the rise. And as our economy goes in the way it does, people are looking for cheaper options to continue to, get the things that they not just need, but want. And so that was definitely one of them. The next one I wanted to talk about was electronics. So we definitely saw in the electronic industry, we have iPhone, Dell, Cisco, and Nintendo.
Nintendo. Say
Yeah.
it. So Nintendo.
Not the game.
Oh, I love my Nintendo products. And so again, with the import of specifically the goods that are used to make iPhones, we're looking at maybe $2,000 an iPhone,
The
right?
prices are already ridiculous. Let's just say that.
Right. Because
So that's
That's
Yeah,
insane.
it is insane.
That is insane.
Yeah, the reason I still have a 13 Pro Max is because I was like, okay, I don't want to pay prices for iPhones today. Right.
I'm gonna pay today's iPhone.
So
and essentially for the
alone,
same thing. Like, what are we getting that's any different? Like, I'm spending my money
right, a
for
new
the same
camera,
product every
which
years.
Exactly.
also another electron. I was gonna say a new camera and the rise of digital cameras and things like that. Those are going up. Those are going up.
So,
You
moral
see
of the
that-
story: get your items now
Yeah.
before it's too
Now,
late.
Like, don't wait till June because you're gonna be
Right.
able to afford it.
Right. Will not be able to afford it. But I thought Nintendo was a really interesting case because they actually paused the pre-sale. So they're coming out with the Switch 2, and they paused the pre-sale because they don't know how the tariffs is going to affect their pricing. So right now the console is going to be $450, which is already, it's a Switch, fine, it's a gaming console. That's already a little bit pricey. The new Mario Kart is $80 now. So their prices are going up alone, right? Tariff side. But they paused the pre-sale because they want to see specifically how the tariffs is going to affect their pricing. And so people who make goods are preparing. Like, we're seeing in real time, they're like, hold on, wait a minute, this might actually be a thing and we have to reassess, right? Another interesting one that I thought was the travel industry. And this is kind of where I was thinking like things kind of get interconnected. Talking about previously about the nodes, because not just like Boeing for like manufacturing parts, right? Boeing is expected, airline prices are expected to go up. The manufacturing of airplanes in general is expected to go up, right? But a huge one was also a part of travel was Disney. So
Like Disneyland and Disney World, like
yeah, Disneyland,
wow.
Disney World, Disney Cruises, which is travel, right? And so definitely like the materials that they use, even cruise lines, the food that they get is imported, right? And all of that to the cost of the ticket of your cruise or the price of your vacation. So cruise lines, so Carnival, Royal Caribbean, Disney Cruises. So they're kind of seeing it on both ends, not just the manufacturing of like the literal vehicles, but also the things that make their experience will become more expensive, and inherently merchandise and ticket prices will become more expensive, right? And then of course, clothing, retail, Nike and Adidas is a big one that I saw on almost every article. And the conversation around this has also been super interesting because H&M, Old Navy, Gap, that are supposed to be like these affordable clothing places, right? Not super high end. You can go into the mall and get your thing, because the U.S. Fashion Industry Association said that the tariffs are just going to definitely disproportionately affect lower income families. Obviously economically, but even to the point of like clothing and things like that. So those were the ones that stuck out to me. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on those, but I definitely would beg the question, like, what are these brands to do about this, and how do they continue to get customers and sell their brand in a good light, being that everything might go up or might be so expensive or unaffordable, etc.
Yeah, I mean, I think like, so Taylor, as you know, we're doing a 5-part series on this on our LinkedIn. So if you go to the B3 Media Solutions LinkedIn, you will see every day for this week, we're just sharing tips on things that we know we've worked with brands that have had tariffs, and just kind of understanding that. And using predictive analytics is kind of like the best way to kind of understand this. And I'll break it down really quickly. There's 5 key areas that we've seen predictive analytics work. And so because of the fact that you're able to know that tariffs are coming, we knew about this from the time that he said he was going to do this in office. We understood that that was going to be happening. So all that time, we should be looking at historical data, geopolitical trends, and trade policies. And that allows them to forecast potential trade tariff impacts by analyzing that historical data. The second one is just optimizing supply chains and sourcing strategies. So we use predictive analytics to understand and evaluate suppliers and optimize logistics routes in real time. So if, for instance, you were facing an increased tariff on Chinese steel and you used AI tools to help you find lower cost suppliers, that can definitely help you reduce the overall end product for the client and for your customer. The third is, of course, and this should be done at every organization, but sometimes we know that it's not, social listening to understand those marketing strategies. They really do help you understand what conversations your customers are having about the tariffs, and whether or not, like Sarah showed in the narrative AI tool, if customers are going to hold back and not purchase anything, especially with the economy, with the way that it is. A lot of consumers are saying, they're going to be looking for the low priced option or the American made option. And another way that we've seen it happen is inventory management and demand forecast. So predictive analytics allow us to look at inventory and what's going to be needed and what you have and what you may not have. And for the last one, you're going to have to wait and go to our LinkedIn, because I can't share everything with you guys. We are sharing the whole entire 5-part series where you can find all of that information and more around tariffs and what can be done.
Awesome. That's awesome. I'm excited to see.
Yeah, it's definitely, we definitely wanted it to be helpful, because I think a lot of people get scared of analytics and using it for that purpose. So we wanted to make sure that, we kind of gave that information that brands can use.
Yeah.
So we talked about a lot today, ladies.
This might be a 2-parter.
Right. I mean, with TikTok, it might be a multi-parter. We might be talking about
we're gonna be talking about TikTok. But we did hear about Sydney Joe and Mean Girls in the chat, which was good. And then I got to showcase with you all of the campaigns from Natural Beer, as well as the one from Ugly Estates, which I'm looking forward to trying.
Is bringing in the conversations.
Yes. And then, of course, the tariff conversation. I think that was a very timely and definitely a much needed and widely impacted conversation that we had.
Yeah, absolutely. And then thank you, Sarah, for showing us narrative AI, because I think that puts a lot of things into perspective. Things that we were assuming were there, things that we didn't know were there. And so, yeah, that was awesome.
So I know we went through a lot with you guys today, a lot of fun, informative stuff. But before we wrap up, if you guys have any comments or questions you want to share with us and the rest of our audience, please do so in the comments below. And stay tuned for our next episode. And you can find us at B3 Media Solutions across social. So we'll see you guys soon.
Perfect. We'll be back with all the bites on May 14th. So turn on your post notifications and we'll see you guys soon. We have so much fun with you guys. Bye.